Alright, looks like I'm live. Alright, this is gonna be, gonna try to keep it short, but this is going to be my review of Season 1 of The Dragon Prince. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Dragon Prince is a new Netflix original. It's a cartoon series made by the co-creator of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, I don't recall exactly which co-creator made this. The heck was that? Anyway, but you can definitely see The Last Airbender's imprint on this series. Now, as far as I can tell, there's no actual connection to The Last Airbender. It is its own separate thing. It's not a sequel, it's not a spin-off like Korra. And while they do try to be really, really different, they're also really, really similar. And if you've seen it, even just the first episode, you'll know what I mean. Because it starts off, the first episode, and it's, to paraphrase, long ago, the 6 types of magic lived together in peace and harmony until the dark magic attacked. Everything changed when dark magic attacked, and that's the setup, sort of. So there were 6 kinds of magic: sun, moon, water, the sky, the earth, and other. Yeah, I don't remember what the other one was. But humans, some human sorcerer came up with a 7th type of magic, dark magic, which requires you to use the life force of magical creatures. So you basically have to kill a magical creature and use its body, or its life, in order to use dark magic. And so this created controversy in their world, which led to a war between humans and everything else. In the end, not the end of the show, but the end of the prologue, I'm pretty sure all the other magical races were victorious, or it was a tie, one of those two. And so humans basically all got pushed to one side of the continent, while everybody else had the other half. And it was guarded, it was marked by a volcanic border where the king of the dragons himself stood guard. And this is kind of where the story actually picks up. Some humans, it doesn't specify who exactly at first, but the humans went and killed the Dragon King somehow and destroyed the egg of the Dragon Prince. Now, I'm going to get into some spoilers now, so anyone who doesn't want that, well, yeah, I can't really talk about much else without getting into spoilers, but so you've been warned. But and so it picks up, our story starts with a band of elves. They're assassins, and they're out to assassinate the human king, or one of the human kings. I don't know. It says they make mention of other human kingdoms, but this seems to be the human kingdom, if you know what I mean. So they're out to assassinate the king and his sons, the princes, for revenge, for, killing the Dragon King and destroying his egg, the Dragon Prince. And we start off with a human soldier. He finds this band of elves, and they chase him down. One of them is sent to go chase him down herself. And this is one of our main characters. She's an elf girl named Rayla, I believe. And she pins the guy down and is about to basically cut his head off. Yeah, there are a lot of very dark themes in this show, but there's not a lot of dark things that actually happen. It's more dark things are talked about and referenced rather than actually happening. But she's about to cut his head off, and he gives her the puppy dog eyes. So she feels bad and lets him go, and then goes back to the band of elves, pretending to have killed him. And then we're introduced to our main characters, like the main characters of Ezra and I can't remember his name. He's the main character. I'm sure his name will come to me. But they're both the human princes. Ezra is the little brother. And they're half brothers. So no, I'll just call the other brother Jack. I know that's not his name, but I gotta have something to call him. So Jack is the oldest, but he's only the step prince. So I don't know if it was Jack's mother who was queen, and then she married Ezra's father, or if Ezra's father was king and he married Jack's mother. But they are, to say it bluntly, and not to offend anyone, but the king and Ezra are black. They're dark-skinned. Whereas Jack, he's not. He's white. Or at least I assume he is. But, but Jack is, it's evident he's much older than Ezra. But all that aside, anyway, Ezra was probably my least favorite character. I don't know, just nothing he did really worked for me. He's young. I think he's 12-ish. And he kind of takes the place of Aang in book 1, you know. He kind of has Aang's face, just you know, a different color. And he's definitely there just to add the childlike innocence to the show, like Aang did. And I'm pretty sure they actually got a child to voice him, like they did with Aang. The difference is... Ezra's voice actor... it's very evident I don't know who it is, but judging by his performance, I'd say this is probably his first time voicing anything. He's always really quiet, like he's whispering his lines, and it doesn't really sound like he's really there, you know? There's no emotion. It's always kind of monotone-ish. Kind of like this. You know, he only has one mood. The character himself, though, doesn't really go through any emotions. He's always just saying some kind of childish, innocent one-liner, or talking about his glow toad, the Momo of the series, or I don't know. That's kind of it. That's kind of his entire character. He doesn't do anything else. It's hinted at, it's revealed or hinted at least, that he can talk to animals in, like, the last episode. But he doesn't really do anything with it. He mentions it, and then that itself has almost no impact on anything. But anyway, on to Jack. He straight up sounds like Sokka from Avatar. Like, I didn't pay attention to see if they got the same voice actor, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. He sounds just like Sokka. And he kind of has Sokka's personality, too. In the kind of quirky, sarcastic, self-deprecative way, you know? He's not a warrior like Sokka, though. He's more of an artist. And he's definitely the main character. You can tell it's his hero's journey. Because he's really the one who does everything. Kind of. Moving on to the villains, though. We have, wow, I cannot remember any of their names. They are not very memorable villains. Well, at first, I wouldn't even call them villains, per se. Except for one, the main one. So the main one is the king's advisor. I know, big twist. But, what got me was that he wasn't really the bad guy at first. Even when he started doing his bad guy things, it was for a good reason, and he had a lot of humanity to him. And this isn't backstory. This isn't backstory. This is stuff that happens in real time with the show. Like when the story's going on. He's like best friends with the king. He's like, hey dude, you gotta get out of here or these elves are gonna kill ya. He's like, send the princes away so they will be safe. And, I don't know, the most cruel thing he does is, he kind of tortures a captured elf, one of the elf assassins, and tortures him for information. But I mean, and when I say torture, I mean torture they can do on a kid's show. But yeah, he doesn't really do anything that bad. I mean, the elf he was interrogating was an assassin who was sent to kill his king, his best friend, and the princes, you know. So, yeah. And it's kind of revealed he's some kind of master in dark magic, and so is his daughter. His daughter, the only one I can remember the name of, is his daughter, Claudia. She's kind of like a combination of Azula and Ty Lee. She kind of looks like Azula, you know. She kind of has a similar appearance, but her personality is complete opposite. She is bubbly, she is friendly, she is kind-hearted-ish, which is why I wouldn't necessarily call her a villain. She's just really doing what her dad says, and she's not real keen on his motives. The other villain is the guy's son, so Claudia's brother, and he's like head of the royal guard or something. So he's I'm not sure what character I would compare him to. He's kind of you know, I wouldn't exactly say arrogant, but he's cocky, he's young, he's definitely, overconfident, but not in the way a villain usually is. He's kind of more of a comic relief. You know, he's uncomfortable with his dad acting all creepy, and he doesn't necessarily seem to mean any ill will. He's kind of got a jokey personality. He's one of those characters they have to basically just be condescending toward all the magic stuff and give off really bland puns. And him and Claudia are kind of a duo. So, back to the plot, and I can basically sum up the rest of the plot in like 3 sentences. Rayla shows up to assassinate the princes when they stumble into a secret laboratory and find the Dragon Prince egg completely intact. So, they go off together to try and bring it back to the Kingdom of the Elves, I think, to, like, prevent war. Ah. Sentence 2. Claudia and her brother are sent by the bad guy to go find the princes at all costs, while their dad basically rules the kingdom in place of the king, who is dead? Probably not. And, so yeah, the guys, Ezra, Jack, and Rayla, go off and, climb a mountain. The egg hatches, and there's a baby dragon. And that's where it ends. That's the entire plot of season 1. It is only 9 episodes long, which I feel is one of the series' weakest points, is its pacing. What's funny is they even do the thing that Avatar did with, season 1 is called Book 1, Moon. But it barely has anything to do with the moon. The characters aren't learning moon magic or anything. It's just Rayla is a moon elf. And, they find another moon elf at the end. And that's when the dragon prince is hatched. So not much actually happens. There's not a lot of action. There's not much action at all. I think there was like one legitimate fight scene in like episode 3. And that's it. That is the most action that there is in the entire season. Okay. There are a couple times the characters need to fight a monster. I think in episode 4, they're attacked by a big lake monster. But, it's taken out rather quickly. And in episode 8, I believe, they have to fight a giant leech. But other than that, that's it. Except for, like, little 5-second long things. Like, there's this guy with a special sun dagger or whatever who challenges this big guy with a giant sword. And he just cuts through the guy's giant sword with his sun dagger, because it's, like, as hot as the sun or something. But, that's only, like, 5 seconds long, maybe. So, I'm not sure it really counts. And there are a lot of attempts at humor, kind of quirky humor like Avatar: The Last Airbender, but none of it really lands. At least for me, it doesn't land real well. There are a couple other characters. Ezra and Jack have an aunt who is mute, but she's like the biggest, strongest, best soldier, and she has a guy who follows him interpreting her sign language. But she's not in it very much. She's basically just there to be introduced and then say, hey, that King's advisor guy, I don't trust him, but I'm going to do what he says anyway. And that's kind of the last we see of her. And now I think I should talk about the most obvious problems. The animation. the frame rates specifically. There are times I almost thought like my Netflix was lagging, but it's not. It wasn't. That's just how it's made. It is a 3D series, but it is cel-shaded and has kind of a similar art style to Avatar: The Last Airbender. Very similar music as well. I mean, I would swear some of the music was ripped straight out of Avatar. But back to the animation. The overall art looks okay in the cel-shaded 3D. It could have worked, but it looked like it needed more work. It needed to be a bit more detailed, in my opinion. But the frame rate, oh my goodness, was it bad. Now, I'm pretty sure it was done on purpose. You know, they cel-shaded it and they lowered the frame rate to try and give it the same feel as a 2D cartoon. But if they wanted the feel of a 2D cartoon, I feel they should have just made it 2D. And if they really wanted to go with 3D, then they should have utilized the capabilities and advantages of 3D instead of trying to emulate 2D. Because it gets so bad at times with the low frame rate. You'd swear your computer or your TV was lagging and freezing up or something at certain parts. Now, I know I've been ragging on this show a whole lot. I've mostly only been talking about the negatives. There are some positives. The overall idea of the show is okay. You know, the characters themselves, with the exception of Ezra, so far, are okay, mostly. You know, even the face heel turn villain, who didn't really act like a villain at all throughout half of the season, and then the show's all like, oh, remember, he's the bad guy. Even he's probably one of the more enjoyable and human characters to watch. Rayla was okay. Jack, still can't remember his real name, was okay. The overall plot, it's okay. I do hope for a season 2, despite everything I feel went wrong with season 1. I hope there is a season 2, and I hope they make some serious changes. For one, I hope they make season 2 a lot longer. It's like a season of... I know this isn't Avatar, but it's still the closest thing I can compare it to. A season of Avatar: The Last Airbender was about 26 episodes. 3 seasons. That gave them enough time to fully explore their world and, you know, flesh out all the characters without the series running on too long. And even Korra, with its 16 episode seasons. I have not actually fully seen Korra, but I've seen bits and pieces of it. Korra mostly had a smaller scale story, at least for part 1. Season 1 is the one I'm most familiar with. Season 1 had a much smaller scale story than Avatar: The Last Airbender did. So it had less episodes. 10 less. But it was still long enough to tell that certain story and explore their setting and, you know, the politics and the themes of their world, and have their characters go through their arcs. But this, Dragon Prince definitely feels like it needed a lot more time. It needed more time for its characters to be fleshed out. It needed more time for the exploration. It needed more time for its overall plot to play through, because everything just happened really quickly, and then by the end of it, it feels like not much even happened at all. So I hope season 2 is at least like around 16 episodes, or 18, at least make it double the length of season 1. I hope they change the animation. If they, I would say I hope they switch it to 2D like Avatar, the Last Airbender, but that might be a little unfair, I'm not sure. So I would say, out of all things I want them to change, the frame rate, heighten the frame rate. If you insist on keeping it 3D, utilize the advantages of 3D instead of emulating 2D. You know, make the frame rate higher so everything looks and runs a lot smoother, you know, so the characters can move more fluidly, so the action doesn't look as choppy. And the art. Now, I for one thought the art of the show was actually pretty fine. But it can be improved. It can be more detailed. It can be more intricate. A lot of things seem to be solid color, if I'm remembering correctly. Not everything, but a lot of things. So I feel the art could be more intricate, the animation could be a lot smoother, and the story should run longer for it to be fleshed out. So overall, I'll give it a rating of... it's okay. Out of 10. So, yeah, that's my opinion and review of the Dragon Prince Season 1. Let me know what you think in the comments. If anyone sees this video at all. And I don't know, what do you want? Do you want a Season 2? Do you want them to change anything for Season 2? Let me know. And this video is actually running much longer than I thought, so I'm gonna have to go now. And, see you later.